Today we'll learn a little bit about selling the chametz, which people shouldn't leave for the last moment. Okay, the whole concept of selling chametz on Pesach is really not mentioned in the Gemara. It's basically a Tosefta that mentions a story that Chachamim were once traveling, and it was Pesach, and they realized they had chametz. So how do you get rid of the chametz? They're not there. So they decided they could sell the chametz to the guy. And many people, by the way, question the whole sale of chametz. Is it legitimate? Is it not legitimate? Should you sell real chametz? Should you not sell real chametz? There's a lot of discussion in halacha about selling chametz. And basically, in the time of the Gemara or the time of or later even in the time of Shulchan Aruch, basically it was done for people that own stores, like liquor stores, or people that owned a lot of chametz. So then they would sell the chametz because you had no choice. But people at home rarely sold chametz. We're talking about a long time ago. They didn't have refrigeration. They didn't have things that lasted. I don't know, it doesn't say. One second. Okay. Start working it. Okay, but people in the homes, what chametz did they have already? Whatever they had chametz, they finished up. What did they have? They didn't have, like we have today, containers and mashke. And so basically, most people didn't even sell chametz years ago. Now it became accepted tradition. Everybody sells chametz before Pesach. Now what's this whole purpose and intent of selling chametz? The Torah says you are not allowed to own chametz. Chametz that you own, you're not allowed to see, and you're not allowed to find. And you're not allowed to benefit, obviously. So the Torah says, Bal Yirah and Bal Yimatzah, you're not allowed to see chametz that belongs to you, and you're not allowed to find chametz that belongs to you. But the Torah says, Lo Yirah Locha chametz, you can see your chametz. So therefore, if the chametz is not yours, it's sold to a non-Jew, then it's not yours. If it's not yours, it's not your problem of owning chametz on Pesach. Because if somebody does own chametz on Pesach, in addition to the fact that they're desecrating a few negative commandments in the Torah, you're not allowed to own chametz, the Chachamim find the person that has chametz, a Jew, any Jew, that has chametz in their house over Pesach, you're not allowed to benefit from that chametz after Pesach. You can't eat it, you cannot benefit. It's a fine. Chachamim gave a fine. If you own chametz during Pesach, you're not allowed to benefit from it. No, you can't benefit at all from it. Which is a big problem, by the way. If you have stores that don't sell their chametz and they're owned by a Jew, so you have big issues with buying chametz after Pesach. Now, certain products, they restock very often because you can get spoiled. But other things like a liquor store or a liquor company, okay, a big liquor company that's owned by Jews, or a beer company that's owned by Jews, you're not allowed to buy in that store for an extended period of time after Pesach because they own chametz, and that chametz nobody's allowed to benefit from. We'll learn later about stocks and if you own shares, if that's called ownership or not. Anyway, so therefore, what's the solution of getting rid of the chametz that you have in your house? Now this only, by the way, refers, in halacha it's a whole discussion also, but technically it refers only to real chametz. Let's say you have chametz pots, pans, dishes, cutlery. If they're clean, you're allowed to keep them in the house. Technically you don't have to sell them. Why? Because there's no substantial chametz on it. I'm talking if they're clean. There's only chametz absorbed, like we learned already, within the wall of the vessel. But for that, because it's not seeable, so therefore you're not over by your own by your matzah. So technically, somebody is allowed to have pots and pans in their house. Obviously, you can't use them during Pesach, so you have to put them away. But technically, those pots and pans don't have to be sold. The minig is that we do sell them. Many people have a minig that they don't sell the pots and pans. They only sell the chametz in the pots and pans, but not the pots and pans themselves. Why do they do that? Because if you sell the pot or the dish or the plate or the cutlery to a guy, okay, now you're buying it back after Pesach, you're buying something from a guy, you'd have to tovel all your dishes. So therefore there are many opinions that say that you don't actually sell the kelim, you sell the chametz in the kelim. And therefore the keli is still yours, the utensil is still yours, therefore the guy never owned it, and therefore you won't have to do tefillas kelim afterwards.
So do they add that in the shtar? In the shtar?
They have it in their shtaris. But the Rebbe said, it's a famous printed sikha from the Rebbe. The Rebbe says, in fact, the Shara Koil also wants to say that you should not sell the keli, only the chametz. But the Rebbe says that in the Shtar Mechidas Chametz of the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe's document of chametz, over there he writes clearly we're selling the kelim itself, not the chametz in the keli. There's a whole famous sikha from the Rebbe why the Rebbe holds you don't have to be tovel it. But the minig ha'olam, poskim big now, the minig ha'olam is even those that sell the kelim, besides the Rebbe's reason, the minig ha'olam, they don't tovel it after Pesach. What?
How soon and how late can you sell your house?
Okay, another major mistake or misunderstanding that people have is when you sell the chametz to the rabbi, people think, okay, I'm selling the chametz to the rabbi. That's not true. You don't sell the chametz to the rav. You appoint the rav, your agent, you're to sell the chametz for you Erev Pesach. So you can't come to the rav if Erev Pesach in the afternoon. It's too late already, right? But any time, it doesn't matter how early you come, because all you're doing is appointing him that Erev Pesach, when the time comes to sell the chametz, you sell the chametz. The Rebbe did not sell his chametz to a guy. The Rebbe sold his chametz to the Rav, that was the Rebbe. The Rebbe sold his chametz to the Rav with an order of Kablan, and the Rebbe didn't want to have any things of his own that he owned belonging to a guy.
What was that second one you said?
Order of Kablan is a certain, we'll explain it, we'll learn about. According to the Alter Rebbe is a big chiddush that's called Vaad Rabbonim Lubavitch. It's in the process of acquisition. So we'll explain it soon. Okay. Huh? Because it's very complicated. And which Rav would want to buy everybody's chametz? I won't want to buy your chametz. Why need the headache? Huh?
What's the difference? Buy it and sell it, or being an agent?
Because if I'm your agent, then you are selling your stuff to the guy. I'm just doing the sale for you. If you sell the chametz to the Rav, that means you're not selling your chametz to the guy.
And he's going to sell it to the guy.
I understand, but that's his chametz, not your chametz. It's better to sell it as the agent, not as what the Rebbe did is the Rebbe's business. The Rebbe didn't, like we know, the Rebbe said, there was a story with the Rebbe Marash, when the Rebbe Marash was a little kid, he had a lot of candies that he got, that when he went to Cheder, he was a little boy, so you go to Cheder, what's called Achnos Cheder, so they used to wrap the kid in a talis, not to see anything, okay, and from the house to the Cheder, and then they would bring him with the talis into the Cheder, and the first thing the kid looked onto a page of olive base, and then you say to the kid, he said, well, how old is the kid? A baby. Say olive, he says olive, also, and candy starts flying. And then he says, babe, and he told the kid, you see, when you learn Torah, it's sweet, you get a lot of candies. And it says in Sodom that the kids are told, where did these candies come from? Malach Michal. Malach Michol is the one that's giving you the candies. There's a whole sikha from the Rebbe, how do you lie to a child? The first thing you do in chinuch is not lie to a child. And the Rebbe explains in the whole sikha that it's not lying to the child because the reality is the parents are giving the candy to the kids. But the candies are coming from the attribute of chesed of Hashem. Candies are sweet. Chesed of Atzilus, or the Malach Michol. So the Malach Michol is actually giving the candies. The Hashpah goes through the parents. So it's not a lie. He's talking about. Anyway, so what happened? So when he came out of Pesach, he saved the candies. There's a little kid. Malach Michol's candies. They're holy candies.
It's funny. It's just like...
No, there's an embassy Yiddish Shemini. And then he didn't want to get rid of he didn't want to use the chum. He wanted to sell the candies. So the Tzemach Tzedek said to him that you finish it before Pesach. We don't sell our things to goyim. In fact, whenever the Rebbe gave mashke to people, by Fabrengens used to be the Rebbe give mashke to people who gave bottles of mashke, the Rebbe told him before Pesach they should make sure to finish it before Pesach. That's wine. Wine is not chametz stick.
If a business has a hard non-Jewish owner, does that business need to sell its chametz?
Yeah, because the Jew owns 50% of the chametz.
You can't assume that he owns the chametz on Pesach?
How?
Okay.
Who owns the chametz? One second, no. Legally, assumptions are nothing. You need legal. A partnership means 50-50. If you own a store together with the guy, yeah, 50% of the merchandise is yours. Yes. Now, how is that all of a sudden going to get to the guy on Pesach?
It's just assumed because on Shabbos and Yom Tov, the business.
That's only if you do a shtar mechira.
You still have to.
Of course, you have to do a shtar mechira. Without that, it's your business. Open the Shabbos. There's only a machlekes, Rashi and Taisus. They bring that the Achreinim bring down. If you're partners in a piece of land or in stuff, yeah, does it mean it's 50-50 or each inch is owned by both? A lot of halachic differences between what's the definition of partnership. But the bottom line is, yeah, in order for if you're a partner with the guy, 50% of the business of the chametz is yours. You can't even tell the guy, let's say you have chametz and non-chametz. So you tell the guy, okay, the chametz is yours, the non-chametz is mine. Yeah, but how's he acquire it? The guy has to acquire it. And therefore people should not sell chametz themselves, because if you don't know what you're doing, and the sale is worthless, you're going to have to throw out all your chametz. That's why it says that the Rav that does Mechiras Chametz has to know how to do it. Because if not, they write, the New Rabbonim that are just doing it for the first time really have to know exactly what they're doing. If not, they're invalidating the whole Mechira, and thousands of people, or hundreds of 10 people, whatever, are going to be owning Chametz and Pesach that you can't even benefit from.
If it's a standardized shtar and you use that shtar, then you're fine.
No. It's more than a shtar.
Why?
Because the guy has to acquire it. There's Kenyans Sudar, there's Kesef, there's shtar, there's renting the place, there's Mesiras Mafteach. There's a lot of different kinyonim in order for the guy to acquire it. You can't just have a document, okay, I'm selling you the chametz and give it to the guy. Who says that's a good kinyan for a guy? I'm metaltalin. You can't acquire tangible items by a document. You can acquire land by document. You can't acquire products by a document. A handkerchief, pen, whatever. But yeah, it has to be a proper kinyan. There's a bunch of kinyanim that you do.
So the guy's sitting there for an hour doing kinyan?
No. I mean, the guy, if you have a guy that does it every year for the last 35 years, he knows what's going on. So you go over with him beforehand, what's exactly all the details in the document. But yeah, the kinyanim the actual sale takes 5 minutes. I mean, if you know what you're doing, and the guy, you have to, there's a lot of different kinyanim. There's a bunch. You need a kinyan with the knot of kablan. You need a shtar of kablan.
But it doesn't take like an hour to do it.
What takes an hour here in LA, because by the time everybody comes to the place where we sell the chametz, and everybody's coming the last minute, that takes an hour.
I'm saying just the sale itself.
The sale itself is 5-10 minutes.
All right. I've seen lists where they itemize like so many boxes of cereal, this and that. How is that okay if you have to inventory everything?
What?
I've seen lists of
A lot of people do it, we don't, because the documents that we use as power of attorney lists every possible place where chametz could be.
Right, because if you itemize it,
The only mechira, by the way, sale of chametz, that everybody says is a real sale is Alter Rebbe Shtar Mechira with Arif Kavli. Okay,